Why desire drives everything. Have you ever really sat down in a quiet room and asked yourself what forces you to get out of bed in the morning? On the surface, the answer seems simple. You might say you have to go to work, you need to feed your family, or perhaps you just really need a cup of coffee. But if we peel back the layers of obligation, routine, and biological necessity, we find something much more primal and powerful pulsing beneath the surface. It is the engine that powers the history of the human race, the spark that lights the fires of innovation, and the gravity that holds our personal relationships together. That force is desire. We often mistake desire for a simple checklist of wants: a better car, a vacation in the tropics, a new phone. But to view desire only as materialism is to miss the entire point of the human experience. Desire is not just about acquiring things. It is the fundamental dissatisfaction with the now that compels us to create a future. It is the psychological gap between where we are and where we could be. Without this gap, without this yearning for something more, something different, or something better, we would be statues. We would be frozen in time, perfectly content but utterly stagnant. Think about the concept of movement itself. In physics, an object moves because a force acts upon it. In the landscape of the human soul, desire is that force. It is the refusal to accept the status quo. When we look at the great achievements of civilization, the towering cathedrals, the exploration of space, the curing of diseases, the writing of symphonies, we are not looking at the results of contentment. We are looking at the solidified results of a burning, often uncomfortable desire. Someone, somewhere, was not happy with the world as it was. They desired a world where gravity didn't limit us, or where silence could be filled with complex harmonies. This drive is deeply uncomfortable, which is why so many philosophies and even modern self-help gurus tell us to suppress it. We are told that desire is the root of suffering. And while there is truth to the idea that unchecked craving leads to misery, there is a darker truth to the idea of total desirelessness. It is indistinguishable from death. To be alive is to want. Even the monk meditating in a cave, seeking to free himself from worldly desires, is driven by a powerful desire for enlightenment and peace. It is inescapable. It is the heartbeat of consciousness. Let's look at this on a more personal, friendly level. Think about your own life. Think about the moments you felt most alive. Were they moments of passive safety? Probably not. You likely felt most alive when you were chasing something. Maybe it was the pursuit of a romantic partner, where every text message sent a jolt of electricity through your nerves. Maybe it was the late nights spent building a business or learning a new skill. In those moments, you were in the grip of desire. It clarified your vision. It gave you a reason to ignore fatigue. It turned the chaotic noise of the world into a focused melody. The fascinating paradox of this driving force is that the object of our desire is often less important than the energy it generates. We think we want the trophy, the promotion, or the relationship. But once we get them, the satisfaction is fleeting. The dopamine wears off, and we are left looking for the next peak to climb. This frustrates many people. They feel like they are running on a hamster wheel. But if we reframe our perspective, we can see this not as a tragedy, but as a beautiful design. The fact that satisfaction is temporary is what ensures we keep growing. If we were permanently satisfied by our first achievement, we would never learn anything else. We would never explore further. The fleeting nature of satisfaction is nature's way of keeping us moving forward. Desire is also the glue of connection. We often talk about independence as the ultimate goal, but deep down, we desire to be witnessed. We want to be understood. When you share a story with a friend, you are desiring connection. When you help a stranger, you are desiring to be a force for good. Even our vulnerabilities are a form of desire. They are a silent plea for empathy. When we strip away the fear of appearing needy, we realize that needing each other is what makes us human. The person who claims to need nothing and want nothing is usually the loneliest person in the room, having built a fortress to hide the fact that they are terrified of their own desires. Furthermore, consider the role of curiosity, which is simply intellectual desire. It is the hunger of the mind. Why do we look at the stars? Why do we dig up dinosaur bones? It doesn't help us pay the rent. It doesn't put food on the table. We do it because we have a desperate, insatiable need to know. We want to understand our place in the cosmos. This intellectual desire drives science and philosophy. It is the refusal to accept "I don't know" as a final answer. Without this specific flavor of desire, we would still be huddling in caves, terrified of the thunder. It is important, however, to distinguish between your authentic desires and the desires that have been manufactured for you. We live in a loud world that is constantly trying to hijack your internal engine. Advertisers, social media, and societal pressure scream at you to desire things that won't actually fulfill you. They want you to desire a specific body type, a specific brand of clothing, or a specific lifestyle. This is where the suffering aspect comes in. When you chase a desire that isn't yours, you end up exhausted and empty. But when you tune in to your own frequency, when you find what you genuinely want to create, who you genuinely want to love, and how you genuinely want to live, that desire becomes a superpower. It stops being a burden and starts being a fuel source. So, how do we live with this fire without getting burned? We have to make friends with it. We have to stop shaming ourselves for wanting things. It is okay to want a better life. It is okay to want to be recognized for your talents. It is okay to want intimacy. Instead of suppressing these feelings, we should ask them questions. Why do I want this? What will this allow me to become? When we treat desire as a compass rather than a master, it guides us toward our highest potential. Ultimately, desire is the declaration that we matter. It is the assertion of the self against the vast indifference of the universe. By wanting, we are saying, "I am here, and I intend to make a mark." It is a brave thing to do. It requires vulnerability, because to want something is to risk not getting it. It opens us up to rejection and failure. But that risk is the price of admission for a life well lived. A life without the risk of heartbreak is a life without the possibility of passion. A life without the risk of failure is a life without the possibility of triumph.